Hello everyone. I, Megha Ahuja, welcome you all to Sashakt Dialogues, an attempt by Sashakt, the Ovarian Cancer Foundation, to break the silence and start meaningful conversations to combat unjustified cancer-related stigmas. So, for this special episode in which we are going to discuss the stigma of workplace discrimination, we have two beautiful and inspiring guests with us today. Meenu Madan, co-founder Beyond Art, Vice President, Bliss Foundation and a cancer champion, and Geetanjali Pandit, Indian spiritual author and a business inspiration guru. Hi Meenu, hi Geetanjali, welcome to the show.
Hi.
A cancer diagnosis can affect a person's work life to different degrees. People who work during treatment or return to work after treatment may encounter obvious or subtle workplace discrimination. Starting with you, Meenu, being a cancer survivor, what has been your experience with workplace discrimination?
I was diagnosed with cancer about 10 years back. So at that time, a lot of people were not really aware, and there was a lot of discrimination in the sense they would act weird. I would say weird because we found it weird because we would see those surprises. We could have, we could sense their, reactions of not having hair or maybe a lighter eyebrow and then maybe a paler appearance. But frankly speaking, even at that time when I was working, my work environment was very positive. It was very welcoming, and most of my colleagues they already knew that I had gone through a big struggle. And now that I'm back, they really welcomed me with open arms, and they were very, very protective. They were very caring. They made sure the workplace was clean. The things were in order, and there's no extra burden on me at that point of time.
I'm so glad you could get a conducive environment around you. Coming to you, Geetanjali, some employers and colleagues may assume that a person will be less productive or perform below the company's expectations after a cancer diagnosis. And because of this bias, the cancer patient or survivor are intentionally or unintentionally discriminated against. From not being considered for promotions to not getting their dream projects, it all happens. What's your take on this?
Well, I think, employers and colleagues don't begin with, a bad intent. I think the intent is correct that, the stress of work shouldn't be such that it poses too much of a challenge to someone who is recovering from cancer. And a lot of times, as we all well know that, at least the three of us well know that the treatment of cancer can be, in fact, a huge drain on energy, on health, and of course poses its own challenges to immunity. So I think that it's not about discrimination, but there is a natural concern that, how will this individual take to the challenge of work? How will they meet the demands of work? Will it be, in a way which is similar to, previous contribution at work, or will those standards fall? I think it's very important for the individual who is going back to work, post-cancer, whether it is post a full recovery or post-surgery or post, a major part of the treatment. I think it's very important for them to be prepared within themselves for these kind of changes at the workplace. To assume that there would be no change is very ideal, of course, but may not happen in most organizations, right? So the work is a challenge. Stress at the workplace, stress of work is a challenge. So they must come from a space of understanding, of strength, and of determination to move forward and do their best.
I agree, and at times it's more about like the person who's going through it. They are overcoming a lot of challenges in their personal life because of their health condition. So it's very important for the organization to provide a kind of environment to them where they're not looked down upon with pity, because the person is the same, the individual is beyond their disease, and this is what needs to be recognized. So, Meenu, one of the survivors shared with me that after she went to the office after her diagnosis, one of her colleagues told her bon voyage as if she's dying. It's really common for cancer patients and survivors to receive pity from their colleagues.
It's really shocking, when you just go out, somebody would just come and, they would look at you as if, they won't see you ever again. But what I feel is that one should go ahead, go hug them, tell them welcome back to life. We are with you in your battle. I think that's what's more encouraging.
What effect do you think it can have on the patients?
Oh, it can really, really affect them really bad. Because they are already going through a lot of things. They're going through chemo, they're losing their hair, their appearance is changing. They're quite low on self-esteem, low on energy. And also with all, with Indian society being so dramatic at times, that, somebody would say, "Arey kya ho gaya? Pata nahi kya hoga?" "Arey bhaiya, kuch nahi hoga. They will survive." So there's really no need to worry. So what I feel is that, it does impact you, but you have to take it in your stride. There are people, you will meet people who will be very, very encouraging and they will just bring you back to life. And there would be people who might just put you down. So I guess you just have to accept what you want and just ignore what you don't want.
Very true. And people need to understand that pity is not something anybody needs. It's empathy that is required. And everyone, whether going through cancer or any other struggle in life, should be treated with empathy and not pity.
Exactly. Now with Corona happening all around, I guess people have had harder times. Cancer is still a treatment. We know that there are chances that you would come out of it. In fact, very bright chances with the medical advancements going on. There are a lot of scope and a lot of treatments coming up. So I think that is, you still have a better chance of living. But with things like Corona and heart attacks and maybe kidney failures, there are so many other things that can, just put you down forever. And you won't even get a chance to, take any action. But with cancer, since you do have the time and you do come out of it, you just have to trust your doctors. Just trust your luck. Stay put. That's it.
Very true. Geetanjali, cancer patients are already going through a tough time because of the diagnosis and treatment. And on top of that, all this discrimination can take a toll on their coping capabilities. What should they do to deal with it?
I would not like to excuse anyone who is discriminating on any platform in any way. But on the other hand, I know for a fact that so many prejudices are inbuilt into human beings that it becomes a part of being human. So I think the whole idea is to be larger than the stress and larger hearted than the stress of being discriminated against. And the reason I say that is because research has shown, and this is something that I speak about even globally all the time, is that the more stressed we are about a certain stress factor, the more stressful it tends to become. But if we, on the other hand, say this is how it is, and we take it in our stride, both the impact of that stress and our approach towards it become different, and the environment becomes better. So, which is why I would say, and I'm not trying in any way to brush aside, a major concern, but it is not enough. This is not prejudices of any kind, or exclusion of any kind, or discrimination of any kind is not something that can either be wished away or legalized against. You can have, so for instance, in India, where we have so much legislation against, let's say, the practice of taking dowry, right? We know that it has proved only very partly effective, if that. What has become effective is the fact that society as a whole has become more aware, and people are more aware, they're more open, they're more flexible. But yes, a whole lot of them aren't, right? And that is how people are. So I think my humble advice to anyone who is going through a struggle with cancer, especially, and of course, there's so many other conditions that you mentioned just a while ago here. Any of these is to put their best foot forward, coming from a sense of strength and a sense of acceptance and a sense of being larger than the problem, so kind of large-heartedness, if you will, saying, even if the instance, Megha, that you were sharing just now of someone insensitively and quite crassly saying bon voyage to someone who is just rejoined work, and recovering from cancer, I would say is so much insensitivity or so much immaturity, that you have to be very dismissive of it. If you allow it to disturb you fundamentally, or if you say, because this person has said so and so to me, now I'm going to die, then imagine what you are doing to yourself. So I think self-talk at a time when you're coming back from cancer or cancer treatment to work and the workplace, self-talk has to be very, very important. Whether or not the support that the outside environment gives is there initially or not. So I think to be a little strong within oneself and to build that wall of strength around one's own emotions, for a bit. Whoever is empathic will always be empathic, right? Whoever is insensitive, there's not much that can be done about it without some very deep it's a paradigm shift for them, right? And life may bring about that paradigm shift in a very different way. But you just have to move forward and do your very best the way you can.
Very rightly said. And as you mentioned, that it's the patient's own attitude towards the disease and towards what others are saying and their own resilience that plays a major role in their whole struggle. I meet a lot of survivors, and one thing that is common in them is the courage and the strength that they have. It's beautiful and awe-inspiring. Meenu, knowing your rights and responsibilities may help reassure you that you're being treated fairly while resuming work post-treatment or during treatment, but has to be kept in mind as a cancer patient or survivor so that one can deal with the work environment.
See, as far as the rights and duties are concerned, I guess nobody would try to, take advantage of you at that point of time. But yes, when you join your work back after the treatment, you know that your energies may not be absolutely up the way they used to be. Maybe for, say, a week or so or 10 days or so, till you come back in the flow. And what I feel is that for a cancer patient to be back to work, they first have to focus on themselves. Hygiene, good nutrition, positive attitude, because they might face people who might give them those surprise looks. So just ignore. And there would be people who would be very, very helpful. They would be there with you like they always were, just keeping the things normal. So I guess that is what is most important. You just keep yourself hydrated, positive, and do smile and laugh a lot, just the way, just be as normal as possible. Because frankly speaking, it's just your frame of mind. So if you feel normal here, there would be nobody who can make you feel otherwise. You would be as productive. In fact, I would like to share something here. When I joined work almost after 10 months of leave, surprisingly, I was the only one who got the highest increment and also a promotion in my team. Maybe I was overproductive at that time. I wanted to show myself or prove to myself that, I can do better. I am just back with a bang. So do not consider me otherwise. We are equals and let's just behave like that. So that is what really changes the game for everybody and for you. to be back to normal, you have to first feel normal yourself. So if you give that vibe to everybody, that you're back, you can do everything the way you were doing. Maybe you may not like to stretch so much at work, because in Indian work environment, there's a lot of expectation from you to stretch. But then be productive enough and finish off your work before time and leave. So I guess that is what the bosses also appreciate. That is what your colleagues also appreciate, that their workload is, just the way it used to be before you were there and after you were there. So you get going with your work, let them do theirs, and together be productive enough and do the best and show that nothing has changed. Cancer came and it has gone. We just don't want to hold on to it forever. That's in the past. So let it be there. So that is what I feel, is that be positive. The attitude, the laughter, the celebration, the pause that you want. Take a pause in life. If you are feeling too overworked, if your work environment is very tense, take a little bit of pause, re-energize and get back to work. I guess there's no use being tense, because as you've seen me, Megha, earlier also, I just laugh it out. For me, it has been a thing in the past and I would like to keep it there always. So just look up, chin up, smile, you are all set. What else do you want? You're alive, that's the biggest blessing. So get going.
That's so inspiring. And I hope all the patients and survivors listening to this get some courage out of it and are able to face the world like you are doing it. So coming to you, Geetanjali, cancer-related stigmas are deep-rooted in society. Despite all the medical advances, cancer is still considered a death sentence. This is one of the main reasons behind the biases against cancer patients and survivors, leading to unintentional discrimination. How do you think we need to change as a society to overcome these stigmas?
I think societal change is very subtle and very slow, So for instance, whatever Meenu shared, has triggered a few thoughts in me, right? It's triggered a few emotions in me. And therefore, my takeaway will become more positive even from this meeting. Not that I came with any prejudice or any discrimination or any, attachment of stigma to it, right? But the fact is that, as I said, I go back to human nature. But being a behavioral scientist, you go back to human nature and you realize that, we tend to discriminate at the drop of a hat. So if somebody comes to me and says, I'm coming home to you for a cup of tea, I'm diabetic, right? My instantly my thought was, acha, to kya fir kya serve karenge, fir kaise karenge? How do I deal with somebody who is, whose needs are different from mine, and how will I be hospitable? How will I show my hospitality? I think equally, this issue is somebody comes home and says, I have a medical need to use the loo every 3 hours or 4. I don't know, just giving you an example. Instantly, the way we relate to them is going to be just a shade different. I'm not saying discriminative in any way. These are not necessarily stigmas, and again, I see no reason why anyone with cancer should feel that they are, in the other lineup of at the receiving end, and they are labeled with something which is a stigma. Cancer is rampant today across the globe. A lot of factors are not within any one individual's control. The kind of pollution we experience on an everyday basis, the kind of food we eat, and unless you are the farmer sort of responsible for creating this huge thing which is draining the soil and creating an eco imbalance everywhere. So cancer is just a process, isn't it? In the human body. I think if people know about it a little more, then stigma would be less. And I think it's for each person who's undergone cancer treatment or managed a cancer loved one with cancer, as I have. So in my case, I come from that perspective. I think how comfortable are we with the story? How comfortable are we with our own story makes a tremendous difference when we walk into a workplace, or we are looking at how comfortable society should be with it, right? Society cannot dictate how comfortable or uncomfortable we will be. Yeah. We have to dictate how comfortable we are, and then we will see that same comfort gets communicated to people at work. It gets communicated to colleagues, peers, bosses, and those in our social circle.
I had read somewhere that that when you enter a room and you feel that everybody is an enemy around here, you will get those vibes automatically from everybody. But when you enter a room thinking that you're going to be entering a room full of friends, it changes the vibe entirely. It is the same thing that we have to have in ourselves. We have to first put our negativity at home, be positive, and whenever we move out or interact with anybody, we should be feeling absolutely positive, nothing preconceived as to what the other person is thinking about me or what is going to say, and you will see the difference. Because if you are normal, they have nothing to complain about. When they used to come to me, I used to tell my mother-in-law that, please, I do not want to meet anybody, not because I am not well or whatever, but I don't want them to pity me. So if somebody wants to come and meet me, come and meet me with a smile. And when somebody used to ask me, "Aap kaise ho?" I'm like, "I am better than you." And they had nothing else to say but to be normal themselves. कि ये तो बिल्कुल ठीक बैठी है, हम लोग क्या expect कर रहे थे और क्या बोलेंगे? So the entire dialogue and the entire, the vibe changes. So I guess for any person to feel normal, you have to first feel normal yourself, because the same vibe does flow.
Which is why you have to be comfortable with your own story.
Yes, exactly.
That's so true. And like they say, life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we react to it. Before we conclude, what words of wisdom would you like to share with our viewers? Starting with you, Meenu.
Life is full of surprises, and one should be just open to accept the abundance and to receive whatever God is offering you. And like I read somewhere, if it is raining, just enjoy the rain. And if it is dark, even better, enjoy the stars there. You're getting all the time. And always be open to change, because times are really changing fast. So be ready to unlearn whatever you've learned, and then relearn whatever God or whatever life is teaching you. And it's just going to be okay. So in short, just take a chill pill. Life is okay. Smile and go ahead. That is my funda in life. I don't know how people would react to it, but for me, that is what life is. I would just take each day, each moment as it comes, celebrate it, enjoy whatever God has given you. What is the use of complaining anyways? Right? So just enjoy it. जो time है, bonus time है. अगर समझो तो सब कुछ है, नहीं समझो तो कुछ भी नहीं.
That's amazing. Geetanjali, what message would you like to give to our viewers?
I think to those who return to work after battling with cancer, I would say be kind to yourself. Make yourself, fortify yourself. I love this word, fortify yourself with whatever you need to build yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Do it, and then be kind, because you've just emerged from a huge battle, right? And build your fortress of strength. That's very important. And remain comfortable with yourself, with whatever your body has had to share with you. These are all post my illness with COVID. I have emerged with a host of physical problems and ailments, and I feel that I'm very grateful that these have come to the surface. On one hand, I can think that I'm suffering from higher sugar levels and extremely high cholesterol and extremely bad this and extremely third that, and which is a fact. I mean, if you look at my side table here, it's filled with medicines right now. And on the other hand, I can think, and I do think, that life had something to teach me, and this is why everything came to the surface all at once. So teach me as in not a lesson, like a negative lesson. We tend to connote, there's a very negative connotation of saying, now let me teach someone a lesson. Not like that, but to say that, look, this is important. How do you draw somebody's attention to something that they have been neglecting, or they have been underdoing or overdoing, or simply been dismissing, right? You do that by highlighting that area. So I feel that COVID highlighted this area for me, right? And said that, if you want the rest of your life to be better physically, then you please pay attention here and find your own solutions. The battle is not won. It's not that I have reduced my blood sugar levels or I've done anything. My journey is on, is what I'm saying, and my attention has been drawn to something that was important for me, and I was probably neglecting it. So similarly, for anybody who's grappling with any disease or any problem, I would just say that, look, life is drawing your attention to something, and with a clear expectation that you will beat it. You will not be beaten by it, but you will beat it.
That's so inspiring. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Meenu and Geetanjali, for this insightful discussion. I'm sure our listeners are going back with changed perspectives. I hope that all the cancer patients receive only empathy and they're never knowingly or unknowingly devalued at their workplace. On this note, it's me, Megha Ahuja, signing off for the day. Take care and stay Sashakt.